Hey, I'm Cam Kashani, the godmother of Silicon Beach and co-founder of CoXL, and I'm an outlier.
Welcome to Outlier on Air with Ever Gonzalez, the show where we interview the founders, disruptors, and mavens of the world. Learn how grit, failure, and success are all a part of the entrepreneurial journey.
Hey everybody, welcome to Outlier on Air, the podcast where we interview founders, disruptors, and mavens. As always, I'm your host, Ever Gonzalez. On today's episode, we have Cam Kashani. She is known as the godmother of Silicon Beach and the founder and CEO of CoXL. Cam, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
We're excited to have you on the show. You know, obviously, before we have anybody on, we do a little bit of background. You know, we like to kind of see what you're doing. And your background and the things that you've done and are doing right now fit perfectly with what our audience loves to hear and likes to interact with. So we're very excited to get to know you and everything you've done. So welcome.
Awesome. Thank you.
So, you know, before we get started, obviously, being the godmother of Silicon Beach, you must be in Southern California, right?
Yes.
Santa Monica, you live close by. What's the vibe and the scene like right now in Southern California, specifically, you know, the Silicon Beach area, Santa Monica, and surrounding areas?
It's on fire. It's growing faster and faster and faster. There's so much happening out here. There's so much activity, such great companies, quality talent. There's money coming down here, has been coming down now for a couple of years. We had a problem with funding for quite a few years there, but now it's more and more readily available and things just keep moving up. It's awesome.
Yeah, we hear good things coming out of there. You know, we're pretty close to a lot of the companies, a lot of the entrepreneurs in that area, just because I'm specifically from the area. Now I'm in southern Utah, but it seems like there's a lot of noise, a lot of great companies, a lot of great entrepreneurs coming out of that area. And you said as of a couple years ago, what kind of changed that brought, whether more investors or just more acknowledgement of what's going on down there?
Well, I personally believe that a big portion of it was the fact that we had a lot of success stories come out of LA. Since the beginning of the whole movement in LA, which was when my previous business, which was Co-Loft, we started that in early 2010, and there was just nobody knew what LA was in terms of the tech scene, the startup scene. There was nothing to identify it with, relate it with, and position it in your mind accordingly. And we knew that we needed some success stories. And so, you know, a Snapchat and a Tinder and a few other awesome ones later.
And now you're definitely on the map, right?
Yeah, we're not only on the map, but we went from being non-existent to like number 2 or 3 in the world in terms of growth, and it's freaking awesome. It's just wonderful to see that in a pretty brief period of time, like 5-6 years.
For sure. And last question on the specific location: what are the pros and cons of having a startup in Southern California, specifically your area?
Well, the pros for sure are the community aspect. I really believe that LA has a community that nowhere else does. I've been in startup communities all over the world. I've traveled many different places. The type of camaraderie and community that I see here and the way that people go out of their way to help one another is something I don't see everywhere else. So that's awesome. And as far as the negatives, like there's the beach right here.
Hard to focus, I'm sure.
So sometimes you're going to be like, wait, I just want to go surfing, or just like, I want to go to the water.
Man, if that was our negative here in Southern Utah, I would be all over it. Good for you. So you're in the perfect spot, being the godmother of Silicon Beach. I mean, you've seen it change quite a bit, and you know, you're in the mix. I know there's a big conference coming up down there, and you're right in the middle of it. So congratulations for what you've done and what you're continuing to do for that area. So that's amazing. I'm looking forward to meeting you in person too here coming up in August. So it'll be awesome. Now I want to work backwards, right? I want to work with, talk about the things that you're working with now, and then just kind of work our way back from that. So let's dive right into it. CoXL, what is it? How does it work?
CoXL is the first human accelerator. And what that means and what that looks like, which is always the question that I get, is basically there's the tangible component of it that you'll understand immediately, and then there's the intangible component. So the tangible component, it's a 3-month program. It's one-on-one. It's me and my business partner, and my business partner is a badass. She is a internationally renowned intuitive coach with clients in 5 continents, and an incredible 99.9% accuracy rate.
Nice.
Yeah, she's worked with high-profile CEOs, senators, huge corporations, and she's been my coach for the past 3 years. So she's gotten me through a lot of hardships that I've been through over the past few years. And so together, we created this really great program to accelerate the human, because like a traditional startup accelerator works in such a way that it focuses on a product, right? Like, here's my company, here's my idea, and this is what we're doing. The problem with that I see is that it results in an entrepreneur being attached to their product, and 9 out of 10 companies fail. It's just the truth of the matter, and no one's can do anything about it. It's just the way it goes. What cannot fail is you as a human being. But if you attach yourself to this outcome of this product and you see that company fail, then you're going to think of yourself as a failure, identify with yourself as a failure. So what we're doing here is really helping the person understand not just like how to build a business, because we have all of that involved as well. There's all the strategy, there's guidance, there's marketing, like startup support, really. And I'm bringing my whole network into the equation. I'm basically going to be on your team. And in addition to that, it's also like how you can become your ultimate powerful, badass self. Because at the end of the day, the human is the ultimate product.
So it's a 3-month program. If I was to go through it, or one of our listeners was to go through it, do they have to be founders of a startup?
No, they do not. No. They just have to be ready to get at it.
And so what would we expect? So in the 3 months, let's talk about details. What do we go through? What do we see? What do we do? Who do we talk to?
Well, initially you would talk to me and we would have a conversation, and this is something that I can do virtually as well. I prefer in person if people are in the area. If they're not, no worries. We do it all over the world. And what happens is we have a conversation that is an initial call where we're able to really understand like who you are, why you're inquiring, is this the right fit? Because a lot of the times it's not, and I don't want to waste anyone's time, and vice versa. So we have an initial conversation, and assuming you are the right fit, then we move forward and we have an assessment, and we look to see like, where are you? Are you an employee? Are you an entrepreneur? Are you somebody that is currently trying to, what is it that's stopping you in what you're doing? If you're an employee, for example, and you want to build a company, what we can help you with that transition. So we would look at that and see what can be done to smooth things out and to make sure that you do it with as little friction as possible, because that's a big step and a scary move, and I get it. And if you're an entrepreneur and you're building a company, whether you're early stage funded or you've had 12 successes under your belt, but everybody needs support and everyone can use a lot of guidance. So we look at that and see what it is that's stopping you. Are there roadblocks? Are you having, what are your current problems that you're experiencing? Is it co-founder problems, team building problems, partnership problems? Like, what's going on and how can we solve those and then help you propel forward from there? I don't, in terms of what are you going to get out of it, everybody's different. Every journey is unique, and every single situation is literally catered to that person.
So
it depends.
Do we spend most of the time talking to you as far as more of the coaching side of it, more of the, hey, let's figure out what you need next? I mean, are there, I'm in my mind, I'm thinking there are going to be workbooks or webinars or things like that. I mean, is that some of the things that are involved?
It's going to be me and you.
Uh-huh.
And it's going to be one, whether it's a phone call face-to-face or on a whatever video call. and again, customized. There is a loose format that the program entails, but it's really one of those things that it's super customized to each person, because the goal here is to decode your trial and errors and provide you with shortcuts around obstacles, whether or not they're apparent, help you dissipate any type of fear or stress that you have, giving you a greater sense of clarity and having you perform at your optimal level and really seeing in 3 months, like, holy crap, I went from here to there.
Yeah. And so with the, I mean, you're putting a lot of attention and effort into these entrepreneurs to kind of go through the program. How many of them can you rotate through in 3 months? And are you worried about scale?
I'm not worried about scale because I have a plan for that.
Nice. Something you can discuss a little bit later?
Possibly.
Okay.
It's kind of like one of those things in my head, so I don't know if it'll be communicated really clearly. It's like something I see. But I mean, I can definitely go and give you a couple sentences on that one.
Sure.
But wait, I lost my track of thought. What was the first part of the question?
How many can you work on at one time?
Oh, right. I'm playing with that, and I'm going to see. I believe that because this literally launched, I made the announcement, like a month and a half ago? It hasn't been that long, and we've got people on board. I am doing enrollment, and I think the magic number at this time is going to be 10,
okay,
and I'm close to that. So if that's the number, great. If not, maybe add another one. I just don't want to overdo it right now in the beginning stages, and I really want to focus on getting some really awesome stories and helping people really just fly. So
okay, you started a little while ago, about a month or so ago. You're thinking the number might be around 10. Now let's talk about scale then.
So my vision for this is the new version, the new model for accelerators, a global accelerator model that's going to incorporate building yourself and building your product, because that's what we're doing.
And what would that look like, though? I mean, I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of some time with you as well, but I'm assuming there's going to be other things that are going to have to come into play in order for you to kind of.
There's going to be a lot of things that are going to have to come into play, and I'm sure at the right time they will.
Good answer. Good answer.
I don't stress too much about the future. I'm very much in the now and super aware and present, and that's where you create. So I have my vision of what it's going to be, and I'm sure that over time it'll get there.
So now you've worked with a lot of entrepreneurs in a lot of different stages, and we're going to talk about some of the things that you've done, as special advisor to different things, expert speaker to the U.S. State Department, those things that we're going to get to here in just a sec. But I'm just trying to paint the picture that you have been in a position of helping entrepreneurs and startups for quite a while now, and you've seen a lot of them come through, your circle here. Now, what are some of the common mistakes that you're seeing entrepreneurs at all the different levels make? That maybe something that our audience can kind of, hear about it and maybe at least be aware of it, but maybe even kind of, work their way around it.
Well, I like to kind of flip that question a little bit and say, what successful traits do entrepreneurs have?
Okay,
like, what traits of success do they have? Because I've worked with over 4,000 entrepreneurs, and I have seen common denominators. And the biggest ones that I've walked away with and I've realized are absolutely fundamental is, number one, self-awareness. Then there's passion, persistence, resilience, and detachment from the outcome. Detachment is significantly huge. It's something that gets thrown around. I don't know, a lot of people don't really understand what it really means. They think it means you have no emotions or you don't care or like whatever. Who cares? No, it's not like that. It means that you don't define yourself as your product. Your product does not define you. You define yourself.
And that's tough, right?
It's it's very tough. It's something that took me a lot of crap to go through in order to really, I feel like I've mastered it at this point, but mastery is really, I don't know. So, but it's, at the end of the day, it's like, you're going to fail, and that doesn't mean you're a failure. just keep going, just take action, be super self-aware of the fact that you are freaking awesome, you're powerful, and you're an infinite possibility, and just keep going, get resources, ask for help. Please don't sit in a bubble by yourself. Don't think that you know all the answers. Nobody does. Nobody knows anything. You just got to do it. That's it. Like, it's really, really crucial for people to understand. Don't have that fear of judgment. Oh my God, what if they think that I can't do it? What if this? What if that? No, like, ask for help, reach out, have mentors, do programs, do whatever you got to do. It takes a village to go through life, and it takes another village to build a company.
Being a serial entrepreneur and having some companies that did great and others that did not, I can obviously totally relate. And I think most of our audience is not in their head in agreement, saying, sometimes it's difficult for me to be Ever Gonzalez and not have to be Ever Gonzalez of Outlier, right? I mean, if Outlier is up or down, like most companies are, right? I mean, I don't want it to affect me at the dinner table with my family, whether we had a good day or a good quarter or a bad day or a bad quarter, right? I mean, it's hard to kind of split, like you mentioned, and that's great advice. So what were you saying? Reach out, talk to people, be with other people, because it makes it a little bit easier, right?
I mean, it makes it a lot easier. You really can't do anything alone. Anyone who thinks that they can is either miserable or lying. Mm-hmm. We're the only type of creatures in the world that are born without the ability to fully take care of ourselves. That says a lot about how we're going to succeed in life. We're going to succeed in life as a community effort. So you got to have people around you to help support you. Support is huge. Have the mentors, ask for help, and take action.
So for some of us that are listening that are like, you know what, that's me right now, you're saying look for help, support, that kind of stuff. What would be the fastest, easiest way to get to that place where, maybe we're introverts and don't really have a community or don't know where to go? Is there something that you would recommend?
On a global scale, I mean, online, how many resources are there? There's a ton. If you have meetup.com, for example, that's one of the big ones that has a whole bunch of meetups from entrepreneurs.
Every community has meetups, absolutely.
There you go. So that's a really, really big one for sure. And then, there's so many other resources online, from chatting with advisors to just being on boards and being active out there, and just whether you want to stay behind your computer or be in front of other humans, there's a ton of things. Just start Googling.
And CoExcel being one of them, right?
Obviously. Shameless plug that he just did for me. Thank you.
Exactly. So I love what you're doing with CoExcel. I like that it's the human accelerator and the whole, it's about you and not your product type of approach. I think that's going to go a long way, and obviously you've already seen some success from that. Now let's go to a place where maybe you're a serial entrepreneur as well. You've had other companies, one that's specifically that I know of that didn't do so well. Let's get into some of those things where you weren't having as much success as you are now. What was your mindset, and how did you kind of get over them?
Yeah, that's the most fun stuff to talk about. So my first startup was a severe failure, huge failure. And it was difficult in every way, shape, or form. I was working at a company before that. I was making really good money. I, had a cushy environment. There was all this comfort and blah, blah, blah. But something in me craved the autonomy, and I had a really good idea, and so decided to move forward and go. I did not ask for any help from anybody. There were no resources that were available or did I know about. I didn't even know what the hell I was doing. I didn't know.
What year was this?
This was 2008 and 2009, so it was during the recession.
Great timing, right? What was the name of this one, of this company?
This company was called MedMinister,
Okay.
and it was a document delivery portal between physicians and service providers to communicate through the cloud before there was electronic medical records, before there was
Wow.
any type of anything. But the mandates had been passed that things were going to go that way. And the previous company I was working at was in healthcare. And this was a problem that was occurring and that we saw. And so was like, oh, this is a brilliant idea. Like, let's go. And me and my co-founder went and rented out a little, what is it called? One of those executive suites.
Mm-hmm.
And we went heads down. We outsourced. We made every mistake possible. So I'll just give you a light overview of those. Number one, we outsourced the building of the product overseas. Don't do that.
Nice.
I get that it's cheaper, but don't do that. Go agile development. That is the key. That's always the way to go. We did that. We focused on every single feature as opposed to really just doing it according to the lean startup method. Like, just get your MVP out there, put something out there and start getting responses from people, get your customer development, get your data, and iterate. Like, we didn't do any of that. We were so focused on things from it, like a button for faxing incorporated to like, the font of X. And it was ridiculous. It took a year to build, and a lot of money. And finally, this thing is built. And okay, great. Now it's time to sell. And no one was buying.
Really? So was it a combination of like execution and maybe you were a little too early, or was it all execution?
Well, at the end of the day, it was really just, we did not at all pay attention to the customers. We were so focused on ourselves and what we thought was a great idea that we did not do any work in terms of what are we providing to the world. We had that weird founder ego that a lot of us have.
Yeah, that happens all the time. This is such a great idea to me. I haven't checked with everybody else, but to me, this is a great idea.
Yeah, and I totally was like, well, I don't want other people to hear about it. What if they steal my idea and blah, 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 which is all of that stuff I am very, very loud about disagreeing with. You got to get out there. You got to talk about it. You got to get feedback. You got to build from your customer backwards. We learned the extremely hard way how to build a company lean startup style. It was a great lesson, and overall it resulted in a success for the next company. But those 2 years were brutal. 2 years, a few $100,000, and three customers. It was really crappy. And
that was your MBA education right there, right? I mean, you learned from
I have my
world.
MBA, and that was my real MBA.
Nice. Your real MBA.
Yeah, that was like my school of hard knocks.
That's right. And now you've learned some things, and obviously you've learned from your lessons because you've been doing great in some of these other things. Now let's kind of jump to Coloft. Right, you started Coloft. Mm-hmm. Tell us what it was and how it worked.
So Coloft, the concept for it spawned from the failure of the previous company, which was MedMinister. Like I mentioned, we were working alone in a little space. We were trapped in a bubble. We had no resources. There was nothing around us. My parents were telling me, I'm crazy, get a job. What are you doing? Like, I had nobody around me to support me. And there was something in me that was like, there has to be other people that are in the same position. There has to be other people like me. I know that I'm not the only one. So this kind of like, ooh, what if there was an AA for entrepreneurs?
Nice. I love
kind of came from that. And I didn't want anybody to go through the pain and the suffering that I went through with that startup, because that was freaking brutal. And it wasn't easy to brush the shoulders off and to go and build again. But at the same time, we were in a crappy economy and there were no jobs out there. Like,
so did you get a job between
No,
both?
I couldn't find one.
So you went right into it.
Went right into it. Concept to creation took 3 months, and we broke even in 4 months. It was a shared workspace and community for entrepreneurs and startups, the first one in Los Angeles. And before there was a Silicon Beach, I was actually at the city meeting where they decided that the name is going to be Silicon Beach. So this is like taking you back to early 2010 and getting a space and just seeing this vision of all of us failing together and having these resources that we could have like advisors, and we would have events and meetups and just have a magical place where we could all really just have a community and a sense of togetherness, and together we'll get farther than we ever will alone. And that's exactly what happened. Koloft was an awesome, incredible, magical chapter in my life during my time.
How long did you run that?
I was there for 4 years, so from 2010 to 2014. And during my time, there were 1,400 alumni that came through,
Wow.
650 startups, and these include Instacart, Uber LA, Fullscreen, which has partly been acquired by YouTube, and the beginning team of Tinder was there, for example. We had so many incredibly brilliant people come through there, and it ended up spawning what you now see as Silicon Beach and the LA tech community. This is why they call me the Godmother.
The Godmother, for sure.
Yeah, it resulted in some incredible things. Incredible companies, incredible people, incredible opportunities, great economy. And it all just came from let's be together.
What happened there? Why did you leave?
Well, my co-founder was my ex-husband.
Okay.
And when I filed for divorce, I was fired.
Really?
So another big lesson on that one is make sure that everything is in writing.
Oh, wow. You built this whole thing.
Yeah.
You helped build this whole thing, and then just like that.
Pretty much. And let me tell you, I put up a fight after that. Like here's attachment for you. I was attached to Koloft and what it was. And more than anything, I was really a believer in this vision. I had a vision of it going global. I wanted everybody to have something like this, because if everybody did, everybody would experience the magic of building and building together. And at the end of the day, it wasn't in the cards. So I ended up parting with Koloft, and that was back in mid 2014. Like May, June 2014, and from there came a time of complete, like, holy crap, what am I supposed to do with my life now? I'm a single mom. I have 2 kids.
Wow.
They're 4-year-old twins.
Oh, on top of that, they're 4-year-old twins.
Yeah, by the way.
Yeah. Because you don't have enough on your plate and enough to worry about.
Yeah, and let me tell you, it was really, really brutal. Like, I got fired for what I thought I owned, and then I'm like, okay, now what do I do? I have 2 boys. I don't have an income. What is, okay, I guess I need a job. Like, and I went through a severe depression here. Not like, I'm open about that. I totally went into survival mode. I retreated, and I was in my bed on it, like, for a few months, just in the fetal position. Like, why did this happen? Whatever. I felt paralyzed. And I realized that I had the power put outside of me during this entire time. I was looking at Koloft or whatnot as the magical solution. That outcome is what is going to bring me happiness. And the answer is that you are going to bring yourself happiness, and you have the power in you to ultimately and infinitely create. So during this time, I got really, really lucky. I came across who I mentioned as my business partner, Jasmine, and she literally gave me hope and guidance, inspiration. She provided me with exactly what to do, like, because I was just like retarded. I was in my bed. I wasn't doing anything. I didn't want to move. And she told me, I believe in you, I believe in you, I believe in you. And that's really what I needed to hear. I felt really alone. And in addition to that, she brought her whole gift to the table and helped guide me. And a year later, I'm working with the State Department.
Yeah, let's talk about, so I want to talk about the State Department here in just a second, because I think that's a great story, what you've been doing or what you were doing there. But let's kind of get back to these low points.
Sure.
It was about a year or so, you're saying, that's in between?
No, my divorce took 2 years.
2 years?
It took 2 years. The first part of which, the first year, I would say I spent really angry.
I bet.
And just searching for some type of revenge, or I don't even know where I was, to be honest. I was just operating on fear. And I wanted it to end. I went through 6 attorneys. I was trying to just keep a bit of myself, and I thought myself was my company. I'm like, I'm already losing my marriage, so that part of me is gone. well, I have to salvage myself somehow. I have to keep my company. I have to keep my company. I have to keep my company. I kept like identifying with myself as my company. And that is the underlying essence of attachment, right? And I went through 6 attorneys. I went through my savings. I went through everything just to be able to save that little bit of myself. And I didn't get it in the end. It didn't make sense. I had an option to purchase it. It did not make logical sense whatsoever. And so I said no, and had a little bit of a badass moment where I'm like, I'm just going to build again. But definitely went into a deep depression.
So at your lowest moment, here comes your eventually your co-founder. What did you know? I mean, let's get a little bit into more detail about that. What did she do? What did she say? I mean, I know she encouraged you, and I know she. I'm assuming that it was just there to kind of hear you out. But what was it? What were the words or the things that she did that made you finally like, oh wait, there's no reason why I should be in bed. I'm going to go out there and build again.
Yeah, that's a great question. I love that you asked that. The words that will forever be etched in me that she would say over and over was, I believe in you. You must believe in you.
Nice.
I am with you and you will be happy. And to have
That's
a
powerful,
woman,
right?
it's so powerful, not to mention to have someone of her caliber who builds up the world's most powerful people say that to me gave me hope. Like, if this lady sees something in me, then I guess there's something in there. So, okay, well, let's try. Like, what do I do? And as soon as I found her, I never felt alone. Number one, I felt really, really alone for a very long time. As soon as I found her, this was the one person who really understood me. She really heard me. She loved me unconditionally, and I did not love myself then. And her guidance is honestly the reason that I know that I can be anything so long as I believe in myself and my power. She gave me that understanding of the power of your mind, your thoughts, and how to really build yourself up and go out there. And you can be anything and anyone you want to be so long as you just move forward and take action and believe it, believe it, believe it. That the only thing in the world that stops you is you.
How you doing now?
Fucking awesome. I've never been happier, and I've never felt more just like, I don't even know the words to say it. I just feel like on fire. I feel super grounded at the same time. I feel very grateful for actually the entire experience that I went through. I've forgiven myself and everyone that was involved in the process. And I see how the entire thing has led me to exactly where I am, and how it had to happen that way for me to be able to now provide that type of support and help to other people.
You know, it's funny with when you're truly surrounded by other people, you know, other warm bodies, good things happen, right? I mean, you start automatically feeling better, whether you realize how it's happening or why it's happening. But on top of that, when you're surrounded by entrepreneurs who are driven and you know, there's hope in their eyes and all those things, that stuff is contagious.
Yeah.
I mean, we have the podcast. We've done 350 episodes or whatever, and just talking to people like you just kind of gets us energized. And with our events and with our co-working space, like, it's all, you know, I mean, it's not always easy and it's not always fun, but it sure helps having people around you that are kind of on the same mindset.
Absolutely. And nothing is easy, right? And you might as well be around people when you're failing or when you're succeeding, because that's what's going to really give you energy. People are energy. And being in a space, for example, being in events, doing things like that, it's all energy. You get, like, around entrepreneurs, we're such a unique breed of humans.
True.
Putting us all together, we're all these like unreasonable risk takers, and we all have these like visions and possibilities that we see. And how many ideas end up in the graveyard because we just didn't take action, we were scared. So putting us all together in one place giving us the support, and just having some type of a support system, whether it is in one place and like an actual physical place, or it's an online thing, or it's having, coexcel, like having one person or two people there that are going to help guide you and whatnot. Whatever it is severely crucial. Like, I can't stress it enough. That is what will help you become supremely agile in building yourself and your company.
I love it. Now let's as we start to kind of wrap this up a little bit, let's talk about your time as an advisor for the State Department and the U.S. Embassy in Kuwait. How did that happen? I mean, here you are, an entrepreneur, making making life happen and all these things. I mean, how do you even apply to something like that?
Dude, I didn't apply. It just happened. Like,
Oh, it just happened?
about it, literally just happened. It was a phone call that I got from a friend of mine that was like, "Hey, are you interested in going to Kuwait?" I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." Sure, why
Just
not?
like that, yeah.
And then a day or two later, I get a phone call from the U.S. Embassy in Kuwait, and they're like, "Hey, we would love to have you here. This is a program through the State Department that has been proven to ward off extremism by building entrepreneurial ecosystems and helping provide entrepreneurs with inspiration." And I'm like, "Oh my God, world peace. That's like my dream, really." And she's the lady that I was speaking to. Her name is Nadia. She's amazing. She said, "You're going to be your name came up so many different places." And everyone was like, when we asked, we need a female entrepreneur to come out here to help with the community building, to help bring the ecosystem together, and to help inspire. It was you. And
Wow.
it was like the biggest honor of my life. Being the first female to be a part of that was huge. And the program is a program that's focused on the women and the youth. So I was a guest of the ambassador, the U.S. ambassador, flown like VIP status. Had my own pot on the plane.
Nice.
Staying
And I mean, it moved pretty quickly, right? Once they were
5
like, "It's you."
days.
Wow. Yeah.
Dude, first of all, I knew 7 days in advance that I was going to go, because you just don't say no to something like that.
Sure.
That was my
You know what?
mindset.
It doesn't work with my schedule. How about you check with me later? Yeah, that doesn't work.
No, basically, I had like 7 days to get my children in order, get life in order, and make sure everything is going to not break by the time I get back. And it worked out. And then I got there, and I had no time to recover from jet lag, because the next day it was go, go, go. And it was 5 days, 18 interactions. And how am I going to make this count? How am I really going to provide the most that I possibly can? Because this is really, really freaking important. This is like helping give hope to people. This is going to help build their ecosystem. This is going to help them not go down an alternative path. And the people in Kuwait, for example, and in Bahrain, I've been to both now, they're so incredibly brilliant, and they are all they all want to be a part of something, as every human wants. A fundamental need is to be a part of something. And they were inspirational themselves. So the trip turned out to be a huge success. And because of the guidance that I was able to provide while I was there, they ended up appointing me to be an advisor to the U.S. ambassador and the embassy there in Kuwait, a special advisor for innovation and entrepreneurship.
That's huge.
Yeah. It's
That
kind
is
of like
awesome.
a holy crap moment for sure.
So was this a one-time deal, or are you still involved with that?
I am involved with the State Department. So basically, I am an advisor with the embassy in Kuwait. I am an expert speaker with the U.S. State Department in this particular program. And, every now and then I get a phone call or an email. "Hey, are you available to go here? Are you available to go there?" And like my last one was at the end of March, beginning of April, I went to Bahrain. And that was incredible as well. Also an incredibly life-changing experience. Also very effective and incredible. Everything. The outcomes were awesome. I was speaking at the Bahraini Business Women's Society exposition, which was put on by the royal family. So I was interacting with everyone from the royal family to the ambassadors and down to the startup founders, and helping them and doing workshops and whatnot. And providing as much hope, inspiration, and help as I possibly could.
So other than maybe, obviously, the government's being different, a little bit different, obviously, maybe in certain aspects, maybe some similar things, but entrepreneurs there as opposed to entrepreneurs here, is there a common ground? Are there obviously differences? What was the thing that kind of surprised you the most about being in that position?
Honestly, everybody's just a human being. And it was like I'm Persian. I was born in Iran, but I've been in the US since I was 2 years old. And I had myself this judgment of the Middle East, even though I'm Persian. I went to Iran in 2007, for example, and like I saw things that I didn't like, the government there and all the stuff going on there. And I didn't want that judgment to affect me going into these situations. So I went in with a completely open mind. But holy crap, was my mind blown, because these people are just such a family, so welcoming, such a community. The women and men, for example, in Kuwait get paid the same.
Nice.
The women in Bahrain are so together and helping one another elevate to a higher level like I've never seen before. And they have every excuse in the world not to. And we have none over here. We have none. They have every excuse. They have so many things that they could blame it on. And they're doing some incredible things and moving mountains. And I was surprised how inspired I was by being around those people and seeing just like the hope that they got and just that like glimmer in their eyes and just their inability to give up. Like one thing that I kept hearing over there was no just means find another way.
Nice.
It was really incredible. I blogged about it actually in more detail on my medium.com at Cam Kashani.
Yeah, we're gonna have a link to that for sure.
Cool. Yeah.
With obviously everything you've done, being an ambassador and speaker, and with your own experiences with your own startups and the things that you're doing now. Now let's kind of bring it all together now and overall now, right? Let's talk about experiences and things that my audience can do right now, something they can learn from you today that would help them get to the next level. And what kind of advice would you have for them? What can they do?
Well, the first thing, as I said before, ask for help. Wherever you are, whatever stage you are, ask for help. But the biggest advice that I always say is believe in yourself. Believe in yourself and take some steps to really invest in yourself. Invest in yourself to really get to that ultimate level of, I'm going to curse, but what I call being unfuckwithable. You get to this ultimate level of like, all right, that happened. Okay, now which way do we go? And you just become super agile in this game of life and building a company. So invest in yourself as much as you can. Build yourself. Build your company. Ask for help. Have people around you. And remember that it's your life. No one's going to do anything for you. You got to step up and you got to take action. No one will do it for you. Everyone can tell you everything and you can do nothing. So just get out there and do it. And the biggest thing I always tell everyone is fear is not real. It's all self-created and it's all based on past experiences. Be present, be aware, meditate, go do yoga, really get in that place of awareness and be in the now and understand that life is about right now. It's not about what happened and it's not about what's going to happen. It's about right now. And just go create in this very moment.
Valuable advice. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, what for those that are listening that are interested in more of your story or want to connect with you to find out more of the things that you're working on, where can we find you online?
I'm all over the interwebs. So Twitter, Instagram, and all of those things. I'm at Cam S. Kashani. So not just Cam Kashani, but Cam with an S for my middle name in there, Kashani. And I'm on Facebook. Feel free to add me. I'm all about that. I actually post a lot of cool stuff on Facebook. I have a great Instagram account that's just inspirational for entrepreneurs called Camunity.
Perfect.
It's a play on community. We call it Camunity with
Love
two
it.
M's. And I'm writing a lot of what I'm experiencing and publishing, like not publishing online, not like a book, although I am writing a book too. That will happen.
Even better.
But on my blog, like I said, medium.com at Cam Kashani.
So Outliers, you can go to outliermagazine.co. That's outliermagazine.co. First of all, subscribe to the podcast, rate, review it, drop us a line, let us know what you think of our audiences. But there you're going to be able to find Cam's links to the website, to the social media links, to her writing. Feel free to reach out to her. She's been great. She's opened up, and she's brought a lot of value to this episode. Cam, we really appreciate you being on the show, and we can't thank you enough.
Thank you. I really, really appreciate this. I think what you're doing is amazing. Your show is awesome, super valuable. It's rare for podcasts to get so into the failures, which is what is so necessary for people to hear. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to meeting you here in the next few months.
Back at you. Very much.
Outliers, we'll talk to you tomorrow.